joining in. I hope people who have joined us yesterday are also joining us today. People who are joining us for the first time, I request you to use the link that is there in the chat to directly join us live on our Zoom session. Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. These 7-day sessions are part of our weekly program AI Bronze. These 7 sessions are absolutely free, and these cover every day a little of Python and help. The intent of this program is to make you more confident as we go forward. Great. So I request you to join us live in Zoom. Great. So today we'll be beginning our session. Let me share the link to today's program. Yes, so the link is available in the chat for our friends on YouTube. Hey Rahul, hey Srijana, hey Sampath. Thank you so much for joining in. We have more people who have joined us in our Zoom session live. Thank you, Krishna, for joining again. Thank you, Subramanian sir, for joining in. Hope I'm audible. Great. So basically, Soham, I hope you joined this webinar that happened today on Saturday. If that is the case, if the question is which day of the webinar, so that should not be a problem. We are already on day 4. So if at all, yeah, so it's first day, it should not be a problem. So Soham, can you let us know if this is your first time learning Python or you have a little experience in Python? You can even unmute and speak, should not be a problem. Little experience. So maybe I hope, because we are covering the foundational concepts, should not be a problem. But just in case if you have any issues, you can go through our previous sessions as well. Great. So let us begin. Hello, Hare Krishna. Thanks for joining in. Thanks everyone for joining in. So the link I've shared in the session chat, in the session chat. So I have I have pinned the message where this link to Zoom session is available, right? Great. So let me share my screen. Amazing. Okay. So let me know if my screen is visible. Yes, Soham, you can watch it on YouTube, but if you have any queries and interaction on Zoom, it would be quicker, right? Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, so the intent of the program is to learn Python a little every day. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. So today's session, we are going to cover functions. Yesterday, we have covered conditionals. So we'll cover functions today and understand what is the difference between print statements and return statements. And slowly as we proceed forward, tomorrow will be, today we'll cover functions and we'll also cover a little portion of lists as well. Right? Okay, so let's begin. So the mode of the program is learn by exercise. So here the exercise is below. You can directly see the exercise is in the same exercise link that I've shared. So I request you to use the same exercise and use it in this particular section. Okay, so if you are a little well aware of Python and you have Python installed on your device, or if at all you want to use any of your web IDEs, you can go ahead and use that. But for the learning foundational concepts, this Python compiler that we have on our website is good enough, right? So you can even open this on your mobile, but if you have a desktop, now is a good time to switch. Yes, so you can. So let me share. So in the live section, you can go ahead and go through our previous days sessions. Let me share the link of the same. So Home asks, can I review day 1 and 2 on YouTube alone? Right. So when you go to the channel, there itself you can see there is a live section. When you go into the live section, you can watch our previous day videos. Okay. So yesterday's restream also would be available. So I pasted it here on chat as well. Great. So people who have joined us yesterday, you might have already joined our WhatsApp group as well. But in the description of the current video that you have joined us from, there is a link to the WhatsApp group. You can join us there. And there in the WhatsApp group, we share more and more information, right? So yes, if at all, let me also share the link to the WhatsApp group as well. Yes, you can find it in the description. Okay. The link to the WhatsApp group also is shared. Amazing. Okay, so let's begin. I hope my screen is visible. Yeah, so let me know if my screen is visible. You can type V in the chat box. Amazing. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Soham. Okay, so now that we are here, so let's learn by exercise. Today, we'll understand a little bit of function. So there'll be a small quiz that link we'll be sharing. You can directly join us there. There we'll also be, sharing, doing our first uh, so I'll also be sharing the. So if we paste the code here, we'll try to understand everything. Yesterday, what we have done is we had this conditional, right? So I'm going to remove this, the line, first line and the last line. So what yesterday happened was there was a variable which said toss, and it had a predefined value. Let's just say it had heads in it, right? So what happened here is then when the condition ran, the if condition, it checked if the toss is heads, and if it was heads, then it printed India is batting. If not, it printed Australia is batting, right? So this is what happened yesterday. So let me try to run this. So you can see that when the toss is heads, it's saying India is batting. When it is tails, it is saying Australia is batting. So now, normally what happens is you need not have to know the logic every time. So there are some predefined functions, or you can also custom define your functions, right? So kind of function stand building upon our previous exercise, right? This is name to tails. We are removing that. We are running the function directly from here, right? So there is something called indentation. What happens is whenever you write a new block of code within another block, you can take it a little within the previous block, right? So now if you give a tab, or you can give spaces, like I've given 2 spaces, right? So similarly, you have to have each block of code below the statements, right? So what happens is, now you can see that there is an arrow here. So the Python program knows that the whole of this program is below it, right? And below the ifs, from the if statement, in the if statement, there is this one print statement. In the else statement, there is this print statement, right? So when you take it within, it becomes a block of code under that particular condition. Okay, so now what we are trying to do here is, this is called the function definition, also known as header of the function. In this header, here, this is the name of the function, and here the variable that we have passed on is called the parameter, right? So now what happens is, like, what is a function? If you try to understand, like, for example, if you turn on a switch, the light comes, right? So what is happening here is, the function, you need not know what is the actual wiring, how it was done, who did it, and how the connection is going, right? So you need not know everything. You just have to turn on the switch, right? So you know that when you give an input, there is an output, right? So, and there is processing in between. So functions have some code that process the input and give a specific output, right? So here, what is happening is, I am just, for sake of understanding, I am going to hide this block of code. Now there is already a function. The name of the function is coin flip. Now this is the input part. I am going to call the function, right? So there's already a function defined by name coin flip. So now I'm going to call the function coin flip, and here in that coin flip, I am telling the toss is heads or tails, right? So I'm giving an input. So within the coin flip, if I say coin flip of heads, and when I run it, it will still give me India's batting. If I say it is tails, it is going to give me Australia's batting, right? So how many ever times, if I run with tails in the coin flip, it is going to run Australia's batting alone, right? So what is happening here is, this is called a function call, right? So you have called a function, and within this function, so basically you have given some input. The input is tails, and now this tails got assigned to this variable toss, and within the function, it went within the function and said, if toss equal to heads, meaning check if toss is heads. Then it checked yes. Okay, here toss is not heads, so it is going, I'm going to skip this line of code, and let me go forward and check what happens if it is not heads. And then it goes into else portion and says, okay, now Australia is batting, right? So if you have understood what we have done here, type U in the chat. So we have called a function. The definition of the function is, something that we have written the same code as yesterday with an additional function header, right? So the input we give to the function is passed on within the parameters, and that input goes within the function, gets processed, and the output is given based upon whatever processing is happening within, right? So this is, if you have understood this portion of it, type U in the chat box. Great. So let us see our friends on social channels. Yes. Thanks, Sushmita. Thanks, Rahul. Great. Okay. So if you have any query, you can, okay. So we have Bhuvneshwar Rao, Hari Krishna Raju. not added on WhatsApp group. Hare Krishna Maharaj, you can see that within the description there is the link. You might have to refresh if you're not able to see it. Yes, Vinesh, screen share is visible. Supriya Mishra, not added WhatsApp group. Yes, you can find the link to the WhatsApp group on the description. So let me share that here again in chat. Okay, so if anyone has any query, you can let us know right now. Great. So are you able to run this along with us? Are you able to parallelly run this? Murthy sir, you want to say something? Kishore Kumar, what is the difference between break, continue, and pass? Right. Okay. So this is something that is very much related to our conditionals. I hope Kishore, you are coming from a background of C. You might have understood these words in C also. So basically, break is when the conditional flow breaks out of the condition. It could also be used in loops. We'll also cover that in our loops section. So basically, similarly, continue and pass is more or less like the skip statement. Continue is where you continue with the next set of statements. We'll cover that as we go forward, Kishore. Thanks for bringing it up. Okay. Okay, so Soham says on a smartphone, not able to juggle. So, okay, no worries. Thanks for letting us know that you understood this. That's great. Okay, so let's resume our learning. Now that we have understood what is a function call here and how do you give and pass on an input within the parameters, and how can you process it within the function. So we'll right now see how to return something, right? So now what we are trying to do here is in the second exercise, function that returns square of any number, right? So I'm going to copy this. I hope if at all you are running this on your desktop, maybe you can take a screenshot of it so that it is there for your reference. Okay, so now I'm copying the second function. You can see I'm going to remove all these comments. Becomes easier, simple to understand. Now, if you see this particular statements, this is the function call. Okay, so let us leave the function call as is, and this is the function, right? Sometimes you need not know what is there in the function. Let's just say here, first let's try to do this, like let's say square of 2. I'm going to run it. The square of the number is 4. It says square of 5, 25, square of 25, 625. So how is it doing? Whenever you give an input, it is going within the function definition, right? So def is the definition of the function. Then here is the name of the function, and here is the parameter. So now 25 is substituted wherever there is an n. Okay, so now let us go within the function. Always remember you have to have a colon after your function header, right? So within the function, what is happening is squared. There is a variable that is being created, and it is set to n in n power 2. When you have two asterisk symbols, it becomes n power 2. You can even write n into n if you feel that is simpler, right? So now if you see, there are two statements. One is print and one is return, right? So to explain what is return, I'm going to remove the print statement. Okay, and I'm going to remove all of the print statements. So this is the very simple function. You pass something, it goes and gets substituted in place of n gets multiplied by itself, saved into a variable, and there is a statement called return statement, right? So I'm going to, use the return statement. So what I'm still going to run it. I just say, what is the square of 10? Now you can see that the print statement does not print anything. You can see that there is something called out. Basically, the fourth run output gave 100 as a result. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new variable. Let's call that variable as result. Now, if you see what I'm doing here is I'm creating a new variable and doing the function call on the right hand side of that particular equation. We said equal to square of 10. So now what happens is, because we are calling the we are doing the function call here, when 10 is given as an input, goes within the function, multiplies by itself, and returns the result, right? The squared number. And when it is returning, that gets saved in the variable wherever you are printing, wherever you are saving it, right? So now result will have 100 saved within that, right? So whenever you want to print or use, like let's just say, I'm going to do, let's say, print 20 into result. So you can do some other arithmetic or other operation based upon the function call here. So what will happen here is, so the square of 10 will become 100 and 100 will get saved in result. Now in the within the print statement, you can it will multiply by 20, right? So if I'm going to run it, so you can see that the 100 into 20 became 2000. And whenever you make the change here, you need not have to make the change in the function. You just have to change the input here. You can just go ahead and say 9. So 9 square will be saved in result. You're not changing the name of the variable also. You're actually not changing anything. You're just changing your input, right? So the function call is happening and the processing is happening within the function, and you're able to use the variable in place here, right? So if I'm going to run it, it is going to multiply 20 with 81 and give the result, right? So if and just simple print work, it will work, right? So basically that is what we wanted to show, Soham. So now what the return is doing here is, it is returning to wherever the function call is happening, right? So here I'm going to remove the 20 also and show it to you. So here we are not using print statement anywhere within the function, right? So when you are calling this function, where are you calling it? You're calling it on line 7, right? So here it will square it, and what is it doing after squaring it? It is saving it within result, right? So if you do not have the return statement, that will be the challenge. Okay, so I'm going to remove the return statement. So what is going to happen is, it will square the number, but it will not save it or return it to any variable, right? So let us remove that and try to run it. Now it has printed none, right? So why it was able to print the value is because the function was able to return it. So this specific return statement is returning whatever output you want to return from the function and saving it wherever you want to save it, right? So I hope that is clear. Thank you so much, Soham. Great. So that is the use of a return statement, and over conditionals, this is a better functions have this return statement, so you can create. So what happens is, tomorrow if I create a function, so you need not have to go through the details of the function. You just need to know, I'll tell you, I have created a function. If you give any number to the function, it will print the closest prime number to it, right? So I'm just giving you an example, or I'm going to say, if you print any number, if you print any pin code, if you type in input any pin code, it's going to give you the name of the city. And you need not actually have to go through the whole code, how whatever I did in the function. You can just use the function and say use it in your other program, right? So functions have this ability of called modular functioning. So you can just pick that function and use it wherever you want, right? So maybe you are making another program where you are checking if there is a if delivery is possible in a pin code or not, right? So in a city or not. So I'll tell you, you input your pin code in this particular function. You need not know what I did in there. You just have to copy the function and use it in your program. And then whatever you do in your own function where you're checking if the delivery is available there or not, you can directly use there. And it will give you, okay, this is the name of the city, and because of this, here the delivery is there. If the delivery is there, what is the charge of the delivery, right? So functions are very helpful when you are trying to reuse. So the same pin code function, maybe I can use if there is something related to let's just say population check, right? So you want to check the population within a city, and you use the same pin code function, and the rest of the population check function is different, right? So functions are very much reusable. You can reuse them any other place also, right? Thank you so much, Sohan. Great. So this is why we use return statements to return and save it in any particular variable. And this nature, the modular nature, reusable nature of functions is something that is very helpful, right? So this, covers the second agenda where we want to understand functions. Now we'll try to understand what are some default functions that are already there within Python, right? So there are some default functions that are already existent. So, and one function that we commonly use is the print function, right? So now the print function has its own function definition already within Python, right? So you can even, this is already predefined, you need not do. So when you say, printing now, so it has printed whatever was there within. If it is a string, it will print as is. If it's a variable, it will print that variable. So the definition of this is already there within Python, and if it is already defined within Python within its own libraries, that is called a predefined function or an inbuilt function, right? So if at all you're curious on what is how the print function is there, you can always go ahead and search for print function definition in Python, right? So you need not have to actually understand. So that is the beauty of it. You need not have to understand what is there within. You can just go ahead and use it within your programs, right? So you can actually go ahead, and there is the complete output of complete code available on the whole print functions definition also, right? So so that brings us to a few of our very simple inbuilt functions. We'll check a few of them as we proceed forward. We'll also see that, right? So here one of the functions is max function, right? So this max function returns, it has it in its definition a return. It will check within the whatever arguments, it will take multiple arguments. If you are going to say 6890, it is going to return the maximum number into the variable wherever you are calling it, and it's going to save it in that, right? So I'm going to print, okay, instead of saying maximum, let's say I'm going to say a number. and I'm going to say number, right? So I'm going to run it. So it has given me the maximum number, right? The number is the max of all these arguments. And I'm going to say minimum, min. So the function names you can always look for, right? So the minimum of those is given. There are other string functions also, like we have length. Let's say I'm going to say print. I'm not creating a variable here. I'm saying length of, I'm going to say India. Okay. So what it is going to do is, it will first check the length of India. It is 5, and then it will print it, right? So it will print 5, right? So these are a few predefined functions that you can use within. There are a lot of them, right? So we'll also learn as we proceed forward. There are some libraries where more functions are there, like you want to do square root function, you want to do something more mathematical, log functions and all those things. There is a complete library of functions that is available within Python. So only thing that you would require to do is import that library, right? So for example, if I provide you a pin code function, maybe I can create a library, say Sachi's functions, and give it to you, and you can just go ahead and say import and call Sachi's functions, right? It is not existent, but I'm saying you just have to use one word, and all the functions within that are now aware. Python is aware of it, and you can go ahead and use, let's just say if I am named my function like the pin code, you can just go use the pin code function, right? Right, so this is how you can even import many functions like that. So here one of the functions that is there is we'll try to use the square root function. Let me give you that function. Oh, my screen is not visible. So one of the library is math. Okay, so here I'm going to do let's say math dot square root of say 81. Okay, I'm going to say result equal to, I'm just not sure if this will work in this compiler, but let's try it. See, now you can see that here we have not used any function here, right? So there is no function defined in these 3 lines of code, right? There's no function. So this square root function is there within this library called math, right? So a library can have its own function name, its own functions, its own variables also. So you can use the existing libraries, and there are such many libraries. Now math has square root and many others also. If at all you want to know the functions of math, functions in math module of Python, right? So here you can see, you can even have the docs of Python. So even there you can go ahead and see there are a lot of functions like factorial. There are a lot of functions like floor, like the lower value. And there's also a good explanation that is given within that. So these are more mathematical functions. So you can check, is it a square root or not? So here like that, we have many other libraries as well, where already a few functions have been defined by many developers, right? So I hope that was clear. So if the use of libraries is clear, type C in the chat box. Kishore says, what is the difference between, oh, this is done. My suggestion is that you can zoom the page so that it will be more readable and visible. Yes, thank you so much, Kishore. You're studying 12th. In school, we have Python. That's really nice to know, Kishore. Great. So that's a very good start also. I'd request you to pursue your journey and go forward. Thank you so much for all these things. And if at all your resolution is lower, if you are joining in from a tablet or a device, then you can see that there's the settings icon where you can see that choose a higher quality resolution also, which becomes clear if you're directly watching us from YouTube. Great. So today's session we have covered a little about Python's functions, and we also understood how to define your own functions and how to use your functions by libraries. So if at all we proceed forward, we can also understand how to create our own libraries and just give those library files to your friends so that they can use them or in their program. So this is how bigger projects are divided within teams so that each person knows what input is coming and what output has to be performed, right? So there is like a perfect handoff that happens, right? So the chef cooks and that has to be served, right? So that is how modules also are divided within teams, right? So if at all you have liked today's session, you can leave your comments within the comment section. And thank you so much for joining in. We'll be joining in tomorrow also to learn a little bit more about lists and how can you, till now we were working with single variables, how can you work with multiple variables, right? Do we need to have that library installed in PC? Soham, we'll also understand how we can use your browser itself to work with bigger programs, right? So thank you so much for asking. We'll share that as we proceed forward, right? So let me also let you know about our masterclass. The masterclass happens on Saturday. You can register for that, where more details about the scope and growth in industry of AI and data science will be explained by our team. Latika ma'am is going to explain more about AI and how can you take your Python learnings and use it in your career, right? So all of that is going to be discussed on our Saturday's session also. Tomorrow, yes, Soham, it will be the same time, right? Great, thank you so much. So, Subramanian sir, any inputs that you want to say? How was your experience? What result? You want to share anything, sir? Thank you, Vasu sir. Okay, great. So we'll see everyone tomorrow. Thanks for joining in. Have a good one. Bye-bye.